Hello and welcome to Jamie TV. Thank you very much for joining me. Nice to see a few people already in the chat. Hello, Paul, Farm, Ed, Samuel, Audible, Stephen Tucker. Thanks everyone for being here. Now, if you're wondering what this is all about, why is it called a workshop? This is my idea. I see lots of people on Facebook groups, etc., asking questions about Cubasis, struggling with certain issues. How do you do this? How do you do that? And I try as much as I can to help people. Hi, Gerald. Thanks for joining us. And I just thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a stream every Monday night for an hour. People can throw all the questions at me that they want, and I will answer them. I'll add them to the list, and I'm not going to get through them all in one session. Obviously, it's going to take a number of streams to do this, but I'm going to show you how to do everything that it is that you're trying to do. And if I don't know, I'll learn and then I'll show you. I have had over 100 requests, things that people want to know. Hi, Skies Watcher, thanks for joining us. Over 100 questions, and I have a very extensive list. I've also had quite a few people asking me if I can do anything about things that they wish Cubasis could do but doesn't do yet. And some people have actually treated me as though I am Steinberg and as though I coded the app. Some people have even had a go at me, which is fine, because I have very, very broad shoulders. But I'm not Steinberg, obviously. So what I've done, I have compiled a list of things that people would like to see included in Cubasis 3. Things like mouse wheel support. The most common by far is a tempo track, so the ability to change the tempo or the time signature mid-track. Would it be possible to edit from a solid state drive, so to actually have your project on a drive, saving space on your iPad or Android device? Mustn't forget the Android people. Mono export. Some people have asked for a drum sequencer because we've got an on-screen keyboard, we've got pads, but we haven't got a drum sequencer. Android people would like to know if they could have sample rate change, because Android doesn't do that at the moment. Some people have asked for internal routing to other tracks. That's quite a popular one. A lot of people have said, why is there no scaler? Ableton Sync, better loop recording, like I think it's Reason, where you can comp things very nicely. A lot of people have asked for that. And then I have a number of sheets here with things that people would like to learn about Cubasis. So let's crack on showing you some stuff. Oh, and I sent a message to Steinberg to say that I would be doing this, just to keep them in the loop and let them know. I didn't ask for them, but they gave me 3 codes for Cubasis 3. Now, presumably, most people that are watching this are people who own Cubasis 3. But it might be that some people are watching who are curious about the software, thinking about buying it. If that's the case, and if you would like to win a copy of Cubasis 3, here's what you have to do. You have to give me a thumb up for this video. And of course, if you're here watching this video, please make sure that you've done that anyway. Subscribe to my channel and ding my bell so you get notified of further nonsense from me. And if you would be so kind, maybe share this video or one of my videos on social media somewhere. Then in the chat or in the comments below the video, either is fine, just comment I want Cubasis 3. And please don't do that thing where you have a fake account and try and win it twice, because if I catch anyone doing that, then I just won't ever let you win anything from me ever again, because it's not cool and groovy. And while I'm just talking about me for a moment, down below the video, you will see where you can purchase my merchandise, look at my website, check out my Patreon, where I'm currently making a track with some patrons, listen to my music, all that good stuff. All right, now the thing about demonstrating any kind of digital audio workstation is that there's an awful lot to it. And I kind of had a look at all the requests and thought, where's a sensible place to start? And the truth is, there isn't really a sensible place to start. It's just a case of diving in. I'll start showing you some stuff, throw questions at me, I'll add them to the list, and I'll get to them sooner or later. Okay, so quite a common question was about Midi Learn. So what we're going to need is, let me just change my view here. Okay, so Midi Learn. Let's get an instrument. So I'm going to add, this is going to be a MIDI instrument. So I go down to add at the bottom, select MIDI, and then I'm going to go to, if you press on there's two ways you can do this actually. You can press on the little icon that appears, which is a picture of a piano, and you can go into this browser here and select an instrument, or you could also do it by going to your channel strip by pressing this button here, press where it says acoustic piano, which is kind of the default MIDI instrument that Cubasis 3 will throw at you. Then back out of this drop down list, I'm going to select an audio unit. More on that later. If you don't know what I'm doing right now, I'm going to cover this in a bit. I'm going to grab a Swam instrument. I want the cello because it sounds lovely. Hi Joe, thanks for joining us. Swam cello. There we go. Right, now, I'll just come out of there a moment. Now, this will give me an opportunity to talk about something else quickly. Hello, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's Ijapop. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. In fact, maybe you could throw in the chat how to pronounce your little moniker correctly, so that I can speak to you and not get your name wrong, because that's pretty annoying. Okay, so what am I going to talk about? Yes, right, now, plugging in a MIDI controller. Lots of people have asked about this, and I think that a lot of people presume that it's more complicated than it is. Let me show you what my setup is here. If I just lift up my iPad, over here, I have, you'll see the little blue lights over here. I've got a powered USB hub. It's not an expensive one, but it works pretty flawlessly. So it's a USB hub with 7 connections. There's a switch for each thing, so I leave everything plugged in and I just switch it on when I want to use it. That's what the blue lights are. And that's plugged into the mains, so that's receiving its own power. That is then plugged into the horrible, proprietary, overpriced, horrible white Apple dongle-y thing, so that I can connect everything that's connected into my hub into my iPad via this cable here, and also plug in a charger lead so I can keep my iPad charged up. So I have these two little MIDI controllers in that hub, so they're both coming into my iPad. Now, you don't really have to do much more than that. Cubasis will just recognize them. If I arm this track and press a key, I should have some cello, right? Which is a bit loud, so I'll just go to my mixing desk and drop that down a bit. I'm going to blow out anybody's ears. Hey Dave, thanks for joining us. Well, yeah, but come on, Audible. It's ghastly, innit? And you know when you're making a video, right, and you set your desk up real nice. I mean, most things on my desk are black, right? So it's very easy to get a shot of everything looking cool, and anything that's on the screen shows up real nice. And then you've got this ghastly white thing sticking out the side of the iPad, and you can't get it in a different colour. I have thought about covering it in gaffer tape, but, you know, I'm just worried that it might end up being a bit of a sticky mess. In English, it would be EG Pop. Okay, right. Thank you very much. I don't like that thing where I don't know how to pronounce someone's name. Okay, so all I've done, I've plugged my controllers into the hub. They're coming into the iPad, and when I arm the track, I can control the instrument, unarm it, and I get nothing. Whoops, I accidentally pressed track freeze. I'm coming to that later, honestly. Let's just get rid of that track. Pretend that didn't happen. Okay. Right, now, so I've got a controller controlling this Swarm instrument, and we're going to talk about Midi Learn. So this keyboard has, is this in shot? It is. On this side of this keyboard, we've got some transport buttons. This is my preferred 25 key mini controller from Nectar. It's very, very reasonably priced. I made a video all about it, so I'll not dwell on it, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's called the GX Mini. Now, I want these transport buttons to control Cubasis. Hi Jim, Sasha, thank you for joining us. Hope you're well, buddy. Not heard from you for a while. Hi Jim. Is Josh here? Hi Josh. Okay, so to do this, I go into Setup, and in MIDI, we have Midi Learn. Maybe I should be using my iPad mouse to show you this. So we have in Settings, MIDI from the drop-down list, Midi Learn, press on Learn, and everything that we can control with an external controller will light up green. What I want to do is to make, well, I'll show you how to do it. I click on play, I press the play button, and now it's learned that when I press play, it's going to play. So I'll press record, record button, loop, loop button, fast forward, rewind. I think I may have pressed that one wrong. And metronome, I have a button for that. Alright, now if I now just exit Midi Learn, I've got a play button, a metronome on and off, loop on and off, I can record, etc, etc. Now, staying on the subject of Midi Learn, I had a few people ask me why they couldn't make apps Midi Learn inside of Cubasis. Well, you can with a lot of them. I think the misunderstanding is that people think that, let's say if you wanted to use a controller to operate Swamcello, you would somehow activate that through Setup, and that's not how it's done. You just simply go into the app itself, and you could do this if the app was standalone, but we're in Cubasis 3, you can still do it. Click on the instrument, let's make it nice and big. Right, now this is going to vary for each app, but the process is usually pretty much the same. You just find the buttons in different places. So if I click on MIDI here, then I select the parameter that I want to change with a controller. Press on Learn, and then I move this knob here. I want to operate this with this knob. And then come out of there. Let's do that again for expression, right? Learn, expression. And then I should be able to. Now that's not worked quite 100% exactly how I was expecting. Why has it done that? Just having a look at that. I wonder, maybe if I do this. Jim says his i5 core is too slow for reflector. Can't make it work. Has anyone tried NDI? No, I haven't, Jim. Mine is mine i5 or i7? I honestly can't remember. But it works fine. Maybe I can help you with that, but I'll message you directly. I'm just currently wondering why this didn't work like it normally does. Okay, let's just try that again. Go into there and assign the expression. No, it's only giving me a slight little turn. Don't know why that is. Vibrato depth. Okay, well this is how you do it, I promise you. What about the pan? Let's see. Midi Learn, select pan. No, it's only giving me a very limited turn on each one. No problem, Jim. I will message you. I'll make a note. Hang on. Message Jim reflector. Okay. Maybe the value setting. With the values set to 127 here, that just seems really odd. I wonder, maybe I should unplug it and plug it back in again. Yeah. Okay, so there we are. If it don't work, unplug your controller and plug it back in again. I should work in IT. Oh, I didn't want to assign that to that one. Well, it's okay. I can live with that. Right, so now my expression, can you see that, is going up and down as I move this controller. So now let's just do one more, just for, just to be brave. Press on MIDI. I want to move vibrato with, press Learn, move this one, right? And then my pan, I'm going to move MIDI, pan, Learn, this one. You're right, Gerald. Actually, yes, I forgot about that. That's a really, really good point. When I accidentally froze that track, something odd might have happened. It's very true that occasionally when you freeze, strange things might happen. And usually actually just closing Cubasis and opening it again, or resetting your controller will just correct everything. So yes, you're probably right there, Gerald. Okay, so now I've got, let's see now, I've got expression, I've got vibrato, and I've got pan. So if I play a note here, pan it side to side, and I I can add expression. Okay, right. While we've got that open, a common question I've had is insert effects and send effects. What do you use when? Well, this is not really so much a Cubasis 3 question. It's more of just a production question in general. But I'm going to answer it here, obviously, because it's been asked a lot. So, when would you use an insert effect? When would you use a send effect? Well, if you want to use an effect and you want it to affect one instrument, it's just going to affect that one instrument. You don't need multiples of it. Then you're going to use it as an insert effect. So if you go to here and add an effect here, it's just going to affect that one instrument. If you go to send effect and open up, let's say, let's try that new reverb. I've not had a chance to try it yet. That new reverb, rack reverb it's called. This is a free reverb. If you haven't downloaded it yet, get it. It's from Audio Kit and it's very nice. So now I have a send effect on my Swan cello. Okay, so you hear that reverb. I'm going to cut a little low from that reverb there. Make it slightly bigger and less in the mix. Okay, that's really nice. I like it. Okay, now I've only got one instrument in the project so far, but if I added another one, let's just add another one for the laugh, right? So I'll add an audio track and that'll give me a chance to show you something else with it in a moment. So I've added an audio track here. Now an audio track, because a lot of people have been asking me which tracks are for what do I use when? If I was recording my voice or a guitar or the sound of a real instrument being played into my interface and I want to capture that sound in Cubasis 3, that's an audio track. We'll come to that in a bit. Or maybe in a later stream, we'll see how we are for time. But let's pretend I've recorded a guitar here. And I want to add some reverb to that audio. Now you'll see, look, send effect on my Swan cello, rack reverb. Come down to my audio channel and rack reverb is already there in Sense. It's grayed out, we've not activated it, but it's there already. So if I activate it by pressing the power button and trying not to be clumsy and pressing the wrong thing, now I can send that guitar to that effect. The effect is only open once. I could send 20, 30, 40 instruments, as many as you want, to that one effect. It's not using any more processing power. And the way that you balance the reverb, so let's say you've got a snare drum going to your reverb, you might want a ton of reverb on it, right? So if this was a snare, I'd turn up this send, and the more I turn it up, the more reverb you're going to hear on that track. Let's say it's something else that I don't want a lot of reverb on. I just set it lower like that. That is the value of a send effect. Hey Gary, Vortex, thanks for joining us, dude. Thanks for being here, man. Okay, right, so what was the other thing I was going to... Right, yes. So, quite a few people have complained that there is not a scaler as yet in Cubasis 3. And I guess, you know, it would be nice to have a scaler. It's not something that I use tons, so it's not something that's on my mind frequently. But I will show you how you might use an external scaler so that you have that facility in Cubasis. So let's just go to this Swan cello again. Now I was kind of playing in a harmonic minor kind of a sort of a mode there. What if you don't know your harmonic minor scale, but you want to play in it? There is no scaler inside of Cubasis 3 at the moment to give you that kind of freedom to be able to just play the notes that work. So I'll recommend a scaler to you. That's what I'll do. I'll go to Midi FX. So the app that I'm going to use, rather than using it as an insert effect, this is a Midi effect. Select here, and all the effects that I have that are classed as Midi effects are listed. And we'll go to, my mouse wheel doesn't do anything in Cubasis 3. One of the common requests. Hi buddy, thanks for joining us. Is it Saber? Is that how you say it? Apologies if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Never bought Cubasis 3. Too many complaints I heard over the net, and the fact 2 separate versions exist does not help. But yes, I said that before. Yeah, okay, let me just address that briefly. Okay, I think Cubasis 3 has a very, well, there's no doubt about it, it has a very bad rap. And total, utter honesty, I was a massive Cubasis 2 user. Suddenly Cubasis 3 came out. And honestly, it was rubbish. It was not ready for release. It crashed. It glitched. It was awful. And there was no bigger or more vocal critic than me. Steinberg must have been sick to death of hearing from me and how disgusted I was. I'm a huge Steinberg fan. I've used Cubase forever. I loved Cubasis 2. I have no reason to just be nasty for the sake of it. I was just that disappointed. However, a few updates later, I happen to think that it's really, really good, and I would personally say that it is the premier digital audio workstation available for iOS. And I'm much less of an expert about Android, but I think for Android too. There are others that are great, but I think overall it's the best one. Yes, it does still have some problems, but iOS music is incredibly new. And you know, it's not like it's been around for decades like you know, desktop production. And it is only an iPad. This iPad is a 6th gen 1 gig basic iPad. And yet what I can do with it with Cubasis 3 is incredible, but you have to get used to there's a certain few things you have to work around. You have to be careful with your DSP, but I think that bad rap that Cubasis 3 has, because of how it was when it came out, could go away now. Because if you do get it and you check it out and you learn the kind of workflow that works, it is pretty incredible. I've released tracks with over 50 tracks in, mixed them no problem. They sound great. People think they're done on a desktop, so I would give it another chance maybe. Okay, so what was I going to do? Right, we're going to use, can't use my mouse wheel, so I'm going to go down here and find Scale Bud. Now in Scale Bud, and there are many apps of this type, this is just the one I'm suggesting to you because I like the way it's set out. It's very inexpensive. So what was I doing? I was playing in a sort of a harmonic minor kind of mode. So let's go to here. We'll select a root note of A and harmonic minor scale. So now it will only allow me to play notes that are in that scale. See? That would have been a bummer, so it's not going to let me play it. But I can play that one. So that's the scaler I would recommend to give you a scaler inside of Cubasis 3. And there was something else I was going to say, but I'm a stupid old hippie. I'm very old, and it's left my head. So if it comes back to me, oh yeah. And also what you can do, because for me, I've always found that personally using the scaler and some keys not doing anything when you touch them, I don't find that works particularly well for me. I do find a scale is a great way of learning new scales that I don't know. But you can, of course, play this on screen, and you can adjust your key width to suit, you know, sausage fingers or tiny fingers like mine. So, oh, there we are. Right. Okay, so let's have a look at something else. Yeah, I'm going to delete this track. I'm going to keep the audio track. So, now some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about is going to be very, very fundamental. Some of it's going to be very basic, and some of it's going to be a lot more advanced, and everything in between. But I am going to answer absolutely everybody's queries. So, if I'm wobbling on about something that you already know, my apologies, but stick with it. Let's go with when we choose MIDI tracks, when do we choose audio tracks? So I covered this slightly earlier. So you want to record something into Cubasis 3. Is it going to be MIDI or is it going to be real audio? If you're recording an instrument that's coming in, so something that's already producing sound coming into your interface, then you're going to set it up like this. Is this in shot? Right, so here is my iRig Pro Duo IO, which is plugged into the powered hub I was talking about earlier. And it has two sides to it, so two inputs. My guitar is plugged in to input number 1. Right, so my guitar is a real instrument. It's producing sound before it hits the interface. So this is going to be an audio track. Let me just pick up the guitar. Okay. Pick. Thank you. Right. No sound. Oh. Schoolboy error. The guitar's not plugged in. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. So I use the little blue button to arm the track. So if that's not armed, you're not hearing anything. Actually, it's not arming, it's monitoring. That's the correct word. Go to my mixer, just pull down that volume a little bit. Right, now we sent it to that reverb, didn't we? And that's what you hear in there. Let's just disarm that. There's my clean guitar coming into Cubasis 3. Now, if I plugged into the other side of the interface, like this, now you're not hearing anything on that track. What I need to do is go to routing, and if I press under where it says mono input, it says number 1, because it just defaults to the first input. Press on number 1. Now what you'll see here is that we have a possible 24 inputs, and they're all grayed out except for number 1 and number 2, because Cubasis 3 can see that my interface has 2 inputs. So if I select number 2, and now it's here in the guitar on track number 2. Now, something that has confused quite a few people, I'm going to cover as well as I can. Try and explain this well. It's something that a lot of people take for granted, and it maybe isn't that easy to explain. So I'm going to give it a go. Right. So I've got a clean guitar coming into Cubasis 3. I'm going to go to Insert Effects. I want something that's going to give me more of an amplifier kind of a sound and also provide me with a tuner. So I'll go to my list, my browser. I'm going to go to Audio Units. I'm going to grab Tone Stack Pro, which I'm a big fan of. There we go. Tone Stack Pro. And there's one of my presets that I really like. It's called Big Chorus. Might be a little loud. Just pull that volume down a bit. Okay. Alright, so I think my tuning is probably close enough as it is, and this is only just a quick example. So now you're hearing the guitar with the with this big chain of effects, this preset in Tone Stack Pro, right? All this stuff. So if I just quickly record a little tiny bit of guitar, press record. I didn't arm the track. Okay, that's schoolboy error number 2. Arm the track, take loop off, and then do the recording. I don't think I need a metronome for this. All right, now I'm going to play that back. Okay, right, so that sounds all right. Now that audio that you're looking at there is still clean guitar audio. When it plays back, it's still being affected by this insert effect here. If I switch that insert effect off, you'll hear it's still clean guitar. And this, from a sort of real audio instrument point of view, is one of the great aspects of recording in a digital audio workstation. You can record the clean sound of the instrument, and then you can change the effects after. So just to give you a quick example, I'll go back into Tone Stack Pro. I'll throw a loop on, and while it's playing, select a different preset. All right, now that audio is not committed to that sound until I mix down or freeze the track. Now there are a number of ways that I can get from here with this clean guitar that's affected by that AUV3 effect, and what's the word? And mix it down so that it's actually a piece of audio that has, no, I'm not explaining that very well at all. What's the word for that? Sort of to bake the effect in, right? No, that's not that much better. Maybe if I just show you, I could mix this down. Let's say if I got a whole number of tracks in this project, and I want to end up with an audio file that has this guitar with that effect on finalized, and bring that back into the project. I could solo everything else, mix down that audio, and bring it back in. Or another way to do it is I can simply press freeze, and that renders it. That's the word I was looking for. Unfortunately, it will only render it as a stereo file. Now, if it's a mono thing that you've recorded, there's no left and right panning. Effectively, it does still sound mono, but as you can see from the graphic representation here, one of the limitations that I've suffered with Cubasis 3 is because I can't export a sort of a truly mono file, I can't use it for session recording, because if somebody asks me to record them some guitar or bass professionally, that even if it sounds mono and they open that up and they see that stereo image, they're not impressed. So at the moment I can't use Cubasis 3 for sessions like that. Anyway, right, so that's kind of slightly off the point. So now what I have here is I have an audio file that has the clean guitar with the effect on it, and this track is now frozen. So this effect, this AUV3, is no longer affecting the amount of processing, that the digital signal processing, that is the thing in Cubasis 3 you have to be very, very careful of. And I frequently work with this channel strip open, and I press on system info so I can constantly watch what the DSP down at the bottom is doing. I need to talk about that more in a moment. So if I just play this now, and I could now, if I wish, just delete this track off, and I've got everything I need from that AUV3. But let's say if I just leave it there, it's not currently using any processing power, so it may as well stay. And at a later point I decide I'm not entirely happy with the sound, I want to edit it further, I just press unfreeze, and now that AUV3 is reactivated, and I can go back and change the sound, maybe refreeze it again. In your setup up here, if you go to mix down and freeze, you can change the way that freeze behaves. And one of the things I find very useful is, as a default, I believe this button is activated, which is when you unfreeze something, it deletes the audio track that you created. So if I had that button pressed in, it would have deleted this track. I like to keep those audio tracks, so I have that button unpressed, because I think when I create my new sound, I can compare it to the one that I made before. Then I can delete it off if I no longer want it at a later point. Okay, now I think for the moment I can put down the guitar, and I'm going to try and tie two things in together with this next thing. Go over there and don't fall down. Right, okay. Now, one guy was adamant that the Micrologue, which is Cubasis 3's internal synth, was doing all kinds of crazy things. And he said that if you've got a few tracks open and all using the Micrologue, then it did all kinds of crazy glitchy things. And I've tried it and I've not been able to make it do that. I'm going to try that again now, and I'm going to talk to you while I do it about a process in Cubasis 3 that is the way to be successful making a track with Cubasis 3. So let's just add a MIDI track here, and I'm going to go to my list to the side here. I'm going to select Classic Machines. This is one of the in-app purchases that you can get in Cubasis 3 and Cubasis 2. Well worth buying. Okay, so this is kind of an emulation of a Lindrum, and drums should be red. Now, oh yeah, and quite a few people have moaned that there is no like drum editor in Cubasis, and you know, I suppose it would be nice to have one, but you can do it with your keyboard, easy enough. You just have to activate the track and then find the octave that the drums are on. Okay, I'm going to put my metronome on, and up here, if I go here, I can go to pre-count mode, so that it'll give me a counting before I start trying to record. Thank you, Audible. Thank you. There is so much to talk about in Cubasis 3. So much, and honestly, I could keep going for hours and hours, but I am going to end before 8 o'clock. So, if I press record, the most complex drum pattern ever recorded. Alright, which I did out of time on purpose, right, so that I could show you this next bit. I'm going to go in here. People have asked me about quantizing. How do you know how to set quantize? Well, to be honest, in all honesty, I don't think about it that much. All I do, if I want to quantize all this drum part here, I double tap to select everything, and then I go to this button here, and I have a guess. So I think it might pull everything into time if I set it to 8th notes, and then I press quantize. And it didn't. That didn't do it, so I just undo. Hang on. I pressed undo too many times. Let's just go back to that. 16th notes, quantize. No. Was it 8th notes? Did I just press the wrong button? I think I may have. Okay, well, nearly. I mean, one of them was so far out that it didn't do it, but yeah, Cubasis just felt like getting funky on that one snare there. Oh no, wait a minute. No, there is more than that. That's wrong. Okay, so if you want to pull a single note into time, you just put your finger on it and drag it. And if you want to move by, say, half a bar at a time, you just go here, select half a bar, and it will move half a bar, etc., etc. Or you can leave it off, which is what I actually normally do, because I like everything to be very human and everything kind of slightly not perfect, not absolutely in time. Right, so there's my drum part. Add another track. I'm going to go to the Micrologue. Hang on, I'm looking in the wrong thing. Dear Jamie. Okay. And let's find some kind of a... I can take the metronome off now, I think. Brass arm. Unarm that, arm this one. Oh yeah, that'll do this. Right, so now what I'll do is I'll go in and create a part by hand. So if I go in here, rather than playing it in, if I want to, it's kind of loud. I think there. Right, so I've drawn a note in, and because this is set to half a bar, it's half a bar long. Undo, let's set it to a full bar, and then if I want to make it longer, which I do, I'm going to unselect draw, go back to select. I'm just going to drag this end of the note until it's 4 bars long. Right, and then to show you a little bit more stuff in that kind of a style, add another track. We'll do a bass. Bass is a purple, and I'm going to use Micrologue again. What kind of iPad have you got, Saber? If you think it would crash it, because mine is a very, very limited one. Yeah, Micrologue, factory presets, some kind of a bass. Tech bass. I don't know what that is. What's that one? Okay. Right, now what I want to hear is I want quarter notes. So if I go to here and put it to quarter notes and then go, that's too high a note, down here, right? To draw. Right. Right. Those notes last too long. Eighth notes, put them in like this. Right, that's better. And then what I can do is I can select all by double clicking or by pressing, holding and drag the little box around all 4. Press copy, go to the point where I want to copy it to and press paste. Or what I could do, another thing I could do is I could just make this part smaller, copy that whole part and then paste it into the project where I want it. Can you save a template? Yes, you can save a template, but they are, but I don't have time to show you how to do that now, but I will. Right, you know what? I was going to give you a little chat about workflow in Cubasis 3 and things to avoid, ways to work in order to be able to create huge projects without crashes. I'm not going to have time. I'm going to leave that because I want to cover that nice and thoroughly. I'm going to show you one last thing with one more track, one more MIDI track, and we'll go and select, let's just go and select one more instrument from here, say maybe that one on the right track. Okay, not my absolute first choice, but just trying to be quick. Dream Pad. Oh yes, nice. Right, okay, so if you wanted to play over what we've got going on so far, right, of course you can do. What if you wanted to play some chords but you don't really know chords? Instead of using the on-screen keyboard, press here and go to pads, and then you can play a bunch of chords on screen. And you can record these in real time as well. If they are not the chords that you want, you can change them. So let's say, for instance, for this, I want a C minor. So here I see a C major. I'm going to press on that, press edit, right? And then here, change this from major to minor. And then I can select a different inversion of that chord if I want. You know what? I like both of them. They're really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this one where it says A minor, and I'm going to change that by, how do I, oh yeah, press over here, that's right. Press on C, no, C2. Oh right, press on C, change the octave, and I want that to be a minor inversion 1. So now I've got two different inversions of the same chord. Right, and let's record that. I didn't arm that track, did I? Oh, I did. Oh, I did record it. I recorded it. I started in the wrong place. Okay, so let's go. Remove that pre-comp mode. I'm just going to start from back here. Okay, and then back to the start. Alright, so that's some stuff about Cubasis 3. Thank you very much for watching. I have to go. I have a guitar lesson here in a moment, and Doug will be streaming in a moment. So thanks for watching. Throw all your questions about Cubasis 3 for me in the comments below the video. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for the support. There will be another stream all about this with everything I've added to the list between now and then. 7 o'clock next Monday. All right. So until then, take care of yourselves and be good people and make lots of music. And don't pissy pants about. See you next week. Or actually, tomorrow I'm doing a stream about Sample Wiz 2. So if that sizzles your sausage, join me then. 7 o'clock. Bye-bye. He said as he struggled to find the right button to end the stream.